Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news when we're going to be talking about who is the perfect CDM signing for Manchester United, and we're going to look at it in a very opinionated but analytical way, which is what I know you prefer. So no management talk, we can leave that for the 8 o'clock show. We're actually going to talk about something that you should be talking about in your international break, and is what is Manchester United going to do around their signings this summer, and specifically around this position where the ball is, where Scott McTominay sits. I think this is a good base for us as we look ahead for the summer, really, because that is the team without Pogba in it, that is the team without Cavani in it, that is the team that will start next season, arguably our best team next season, if we don't sign players. So what we're going to do over the next couple of weeks is we're going to probably call the show Sign Them, and we're going to look at key positions. I might even do one for goalkeepers, but we're going to start with the CDM, such an important position to get hold of the ball, feed everybody ahead, protect the back four and run the game, and United haven't had a CDM for a very long time. So look, people are saying it looks like Declan Rice on the thumbnail. It could well be Declan Rice, the perfect CDM for Manchester United. What I've basically done is I've gone with my top five CDM targets, and we're going to break them down on their stats this season and their suitability for Manchester United. I'm going to give you the five straight away. Declan Rice, obviously, Tchouaméni, Bissouma, Neves, and then a wild card, which you're not going to like, but it's Brozovic of Inter Milan, because he's free in the summer. He's also 30 in the autumn, but I believe he would be a really good player at Manchester United. It's just whether you want to take that risk and bring him in. But I also wanted to use him because I know he's having a fantastic season for Inter. I've been very impressed with him when I've watched him this season, and I think he is the sort of player that United should be looking at. So I wanted to compare his stats to the players that we are going to look at, because we're not going to go for Brozovic, but I do think he's got a lot of the characteristics that if he was 23, I'd be all over him. That makes it sound like I want to pull him in a club, but you'll know what I mean in a minute. But before we get into the five players and go through it, I just want to say I think that the Declan Rice to Manchester United story hasn't disappeared, but I think the Declan Rice to Manchester United story in the fans has probably extinguished itself a little bit. And I just want to say this. For me, it really is the price. It's the price that's the problem with Rice. It's Declan Rice, because he is fantastic, and we'll go through why he's fantastic in a minute. And his age is fantastic, his leadership skills are fantastic, and he's done it in the Europa League for West Ham this year, he's done it in the Premier League, he's proven himself, he's doing it for England. He ticks every single box, really, as the perfect CDM for Manchester United. And he is the perfect CDM for Manchester United. But there's two big issues. One, I think if Chelsea or Man City want him, they'll get him. And two, his price is prohibitive for Manchester United. And sometimes you've got to look at things from a price perspective in relation to, is it worth spending 80, 90 million pounds on a CDM when we've probably got 150 million to spend if we're lucky and we need 3 or 4 players? On a rebuild, you don't spend 90 million or 80 million pounds on a player. On a rebuild, you rebuild. And that is one of the reasons for me. But look, let's compare how Rice compares to everybody else, because it might be that he's so far superior to everyone else that it's worth doing. James, thanks for the super chat. What happens with Donny if we get Eric Ten Hag, says David? Well, I do think that Donny will have a future at Manchester United if we do bring Ten Hag in. I do think he will be given another opportunity, which is all you can ask for. Right, okay, so I am going to use Y Scout. It's a system that I use quite a lot, because you can look at lots of, it provides in-game footage of goals and everything like that, so it's very useful for me when I'm looking at replays and stuff like that. But also it's got a very good scouting and system and stats and everything like that, so it's useful. So I'm using that for anybody who wants to know where I'm using it from. And I'm going to compare Declan Rice, Tchouaméni, Brozovic, Ruben Neves, Bissouma. I'm going to chuck Rodri in as well, as probably we always use Fabinho, so I'm using Rodri as the sort of perfect CDM in the Premier League, so we can compare his stats to everybody else's. The first thing we're going to look at is age profile. So age profile is this. Obviously, Declan Rice is 23, Tchouaméni is 22, Brozovic is 29, Rodri is 25, Ruben Neves is 25, and Bissouma is 25. So signings that United can make: 25 for Bissouma, 25 for Neves, 23 for Rice, 22 for Tchouaméni, and 29 for Brozovic if you're interested in that. Right, let's move on to specific relevant on position stats here. So the first thing I want to look at here is I want to look at, well, do you want to look at defensive or do you want to look at passing? I'm going to look at passing, because ultimately if we go to this screen again here, what I want to see is where that ball is next to Scott McTominay on that screen. I want to see somebody who takes that ball and doesn't pass it to Delo. He doesn't pass it to Luke Shaw. He's looking to pass forward. I think passing forward is one of the key issues that Manchester United have had at CDM for a long time. And Scott McTominay's success rating passing forward is actually pretty decent, comparable to other Premier League CDMs. Where he falls away is that passes per 90 for like Declan Rice is 55. So Declan Rice is averaging 55 passes per 90 minutes. Scott McTominay's around 41. So although his accuracy is good, he's not passing anywhere near enough. And that's because he doesn't take the ball enough. He doesn't get on the ball enough. So we want somebody who wants the ball. When I think of a CDM, I'm thinking Michael Carrick. I'm thinking, give me the ball, give me the ball. I'll come and get the ball, give me the ball. I'll drop in between the centre-backs. I'll drop into right back, give me the ball, pass forward. We want somebody who wants to run the team and own that ball. That's what we want at CDM. So, passes per 90. Let's have a look at that first and let's compare these people. So as I said, Declan Rice, passes per 90, 55. Tchouaméni, 56. Brozovic, 75. So he's averaging 20 passes more per game. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Rodri, 79. So McTominay's averaging around 41. Rodri's averaging around 79 passes per 90. More than double. Ruben Neves, 57. Bissouma, 47. What do I see from that straight away? I see that Rodri is superhuman with nearly 80 passes per 90. Brozovic ain't far off with nearly 75 passes per 90. And then you just take a big drop down to Declan Rice on 55, Tchouaméni on 55, and Ruben Neves around 56 for Tchouaméni, 57 for Ruben Neves, and Bissouma's on quite a low 47. So straight away there, the thing that I want from my midfielder is it's better. Like McTominay is low at 41. Rice is a big improvement. Tchouaméni's a big improvement. Neves is a big improvement. But Rodri is unbelievable. And Brozovic is pretty unbelievable as well. The thing for me would be, can Rice or Bissouma or Neves or Tchouaméni come into a United side and get on the ball more? And the honest answer is yeah. Because if Declan Rice is averaging 55 passes per game at West Ham, United, you would feel, would have more possession. So you'd hope that could go up to 65, 70 per game. So there is the improvement there that I think you would get from that. I think it's shockingly how low McTominay and Freds are for a Manchester United player. So not only that though, let's have a look at what we've got in relation to passing percentage accuracy. Accurate passes, McTominay actually, Rice comes out really good, 92%. Tchouaméni, 89%. Brozovic, 92%. Rodri, 94%. Neves, 84%. And Bissouma, 90%. So accurate passes for Neves is the lowest. Rice is pretty steady. Pretty close to Brozovic and pretty close to Rodri. So Rice's forward passing accuracy is pretty good. Tchouaméni's not too far behind. Neither is Bissouma, but Neves is quite a big drop off from that. Now, defensive duels per 90. This is of very big interest because they are a CDM. Their ability to intercept, tackle, win their defensive duels. How many per 90 are they averaging per 90? Declan Rice is averaging 6 defensive duels per 90. Tchouaméni's averaging 8 per 90. Brozovic is averaging 8 per 90. Rodri is averaging 7 per 90. Ruben Neves 7.6 and Bissouma 6.8. So that is quite interesting in relation to that's on defensive duels. Sorry, that's not on defensive actions per 90. So defensive duels per 90, Rice is the lowest, just about lower than quite a bit lower actually. He's around 6, whereas Bissouma's around 7. Neves is around 7.6. As I said, Rodri 7, 7.6 for Brozovic, and 8 for Tchouaméni. So Tchouaméni's a far more aggressive centre defensive midfielder, and his success rate in that is very, very good. His passing probably is a little bit better per game than Declan Rice as well. And I think what you're starting to see here is that amongst these central defensive midfielders, the two core principles for me are the ability to win the ball and the ability to use the ball. I don't think there's much more to being what we want in the perfect CDM. I want somebody who can run that midfield on their own, and I want somebody who can win the ball back, and I want somebody who, when they win the ball back, they're on the ball a lot. And I think when you look at it in a very simple way, Rodri isn't worth comparing to anybody because he's just on a different level in a team that's playing at its absolute elite with total confidence. Declan Rice definitely has that capability to become one of the best CDMs in Europe. I also feel that Tchouaméni does as well. And I think if my top 5 candidates, and I always like to throw in a wild card. If my top 5 candidates are Rice, Tchouaméni, Bissouma, Neves, and then Brozovic as a wild card, well, it becomes very clear to me that the two best options, well, Bissouma and Neves are 25. Rice is 23, Tchouaméni is 22. And on everything that matters, Declan Rice and Tchouaméni come out better than Bissouma and Neves. So we're almost getting into this stage really where I think if you get Declan Rice or you get Tchouaméni, you're happy. You're happy one way or another. The price of Rice puts me off, but you're happy. It's almost like with Neves and Bissouma, you are ending... It's like Champions League and Europa League option, isn't it? And I always remember Jose Mourinho talking about a transfer list where he had a transfer list for the Champions League, and then if we don't get the Champions League, the Europa League options. And I feel Declan Rice and Tchouaméni are the Champions League options, and Neves and Bissouma are the Europa League options. And that's not to say that Neves and Bissouma wouldn't be good signings. They would both... Price is important. I think Declan Rice is going to cost you around 80 million. Tchouaméni is going to cost you around maybe 50, maybe 40. And the same, I think, for Neves and Bissouma. And I think if you're looking at value for money and best options, as I said, Declan Rice, Tchouaméni, to me, they're sort of like your number 1 and 2. Bissouma and Neves are your number 3 and 4. But Tchouaméni's price is in the same 3 and 4 option. For me, the player to go for is Tchouaméni. That's how I feel about it. The cheaper option that allows you to rebuild your team better, and also, all right, he's coming in from the French league, but we've seen him against PSG. We've seen him for France. He definitely has got that profile to go up a level, and he has got the passing range. He does get on the ball a lot, and he has got fantastic defensive work rate. I'd like us to get an experienced DM on a 2-year like deal and give Garner a chance in rotation. Would be a game changer. Nikhil, you know what? I'll say it again. Brozovic is out of contract in the summer. Inter Milan are desperately trying to get him on a new contract. He is 30 in the autumn. He's never played in the Premier League. It's a big, massive risk. But his stats are comparable to Rodri in relation to passes per game and successful passes per game. And to me, the only fear would be the pace of the game getting away with him. But I don't know whether that would happen. Whether that would happen. You know, you go back to what we're talking about. Rodri's averaging 79 passes per game. Brozovic is averaging 75. And then you've got Tchouaméni on 46 and Declan Rice on 55. It's a big, big difference. Defensively, the only thing I would say about this defensively, if I can just check it here, successful defensive actions per game, 9.5 for Declan Rice, 11.7 for Tchouaméni, 10.1 for Brozovic, 8.4 for Rodri. So, I mean, Brozovic does get involved in the defensive side of things as well. It's just whether he could do a job at United and whether United would look at doing that. I've heard Brozovic mentioned a few times, and as an experienced option, I think he'd be worth a punt and he'd be free to do it. But whether United would even think about doing that, I don't know. To me, though, Tchouaméni's the man to go for. He's got the right price tag and he's comparable to Declan Rice. And I'm telling you now, the difference between Declan Rice and Tchouaméni, statistically, is very, very close. The only thing is, Rice's price is double the price of Tchouaméni. Declan Rice is Premier League proven. And are we not stuck in the same situation here of Poch is Premier League proven and Ten Hag's not? Maybe United need an identity change. Instead of going for the Poch and the Kane and the Declan Rice, maybe you should be going for the Ten Hag and the Nunes and the Tchouaméni. And I think a lot of fans want to go down that route now. So look, the perfect CDM for Manchester United, it's a bit of a false dawn because there is no perfect CDM for Manchester United. It's going to be the CDM that Manchester United decide to sign. But if I'm absolutely honest, the expensive option is Declan Rice, and he's a good option. The all-round option, at a reasonable price, with potential to be as good as Rice or better, is Tchouaméni. And the cheap wildcard option is Brozovic. That's the three for me. There'll be plenty of you who've got different options, but they're the three for me. And you can't, United can't argue. They cannot argue. Expensive option that nobody complained about, Declan Rice. Cheaper option that people would be very excited about, Tchouaméni. Bargain experienced option, Brozovic. And as I said, if you check Brozovic's stats this season, they're unbelievably good. He passes the ball more than anybody else. He's accurate with it, and he's competitive in relation to the defensive work as much as Tchouaméni is. It's just whether he could do it or not. So United can't argue that they haven't got options. For me, let me know in the chat. I'm going to put a little vote out for you in the chat as well while we're live. Who you go for. I've given you three options. Kessie has gone to Barcelona, by the way. But let me just whack this up here. Always nice to do these live. There you go. You can get voted on that. Jay Wilkinson, thank you very much for the chat. For the chat, super chat. I call it a chat. Why we're not looking at Kamara? He will be free in the summer. Not convinced about Kamara, to be honest with you. I think Kamara I would put down below Basuma and Neves. I don't mind going for Kamara, but I don't think he's got the profile in relation to Tchouaméni. I mean, there is always a risk from the French league. I don't feel like clubs are banging the door down for Kamara. Brozovic will be 30 in the autumn. I said creative. I don't feel like people are going to be banging the door down for Kamara. So, it's up to you. Kessie going to Barcelona. Kessie's not a CDM. This show's about a CDM. Kessie to Barcelona. Well, look, Barcelona are doing great business. I did a video on them on That's Football this morning. The Xavi effect. I think Kessie's a great signing. I want to just say, Clayton, I tweeted about this morning. Newcastle signing Guimaraes shows they're serious. Guimaraes, if he was available, would have been on this show. He ticks the box in every area. I'm not saying United should buy him. We can't. He's at Newcastle. But the things we're looking at for a CDM, ability to, be tenacious and win the ball back, ability on the ball and passing it forward, Guimaraes would have been in this show. But obviously he's at Newcastle. He's a very good signing for Newcastle, and I think he's already proving himself to be that. But yeah, for me, the five options are Declan Rice, Tchouaméni, Brozovic, Neves, Basuma. And I accept that Brozovic is an outside view. It's a wild card, but sometimes a wild card's not a bad idea. And as that previous chat said, an experienced CDM to work alongside Garner could be perfect. I mean, Brozovic and Garner could work really, really well. Obviously, we're going to still have McTominay as well, but we're talking specialist CDMs here, and I think that James Garner will be a specialist CDM if we let him grow into it. And Brozovic is a specialist CDM, and Declan Rice and Tchouaméni are definitely those sort as well. We should be looking at Alvarez from Ajax, says James. I actually don't really want to go down that road too much. I don't think every Ajax player is going to be Premier League standards. I think you've got to put the trust in what Ten Hag has done as the manager there and hope that most of it's down to his managerial ability. There will be some good players there, of course there is, but Ndidi's a good player, but I think the Ndidi ship has sailed. He's a bit like Pochettino. I don't think United should be going anywhere near Ndidi, because it's a lot of money for somebody that ultimately Ndidi always seems to be carrying an injury as well. But the perfect CDM for me is Tchouaméni. I've got to be honest. He's the one I would go for. I think he's the most exciting option because he's the youngest. He's reasonably priced. And if you look at his trajectory from season to season, he's getting better and better. And I think Declan Rice is getting better and better, but I just think value for money is very important for United because we're going to be doing shows on strikers, we're going to be doing shows on centre-backs, we're going to be doing shows on right wingers, and we can't spend the whole budget on a CDM. As important as it is, we can't do that. Who do I think Manchester United want? I think Manchester United want Declan Rice. I think they want to put a statement out this summer. I think that they want to say we can get a big player. and I think United have always been about that, and sometimes that's a good thing, but sometimes it's a really bad thing. I don't think this summer should be about, look at us, we can still buy a big player. It doesn't. What does it mean? Oh, you bought a big player, well done. You bought Ronaldo last year, you're still shit. So I think United need to steer away from that. I know they'll find it very difficult because they're a brand, but realistically, is this summer about going, oh look, we've bought Declan Rice or Harry Kane, we can still do it? Who does it benefit? Who are you showing off to? Like, everyone knows we're not a competitive football club, so who are you showing off to? Oh, well done, you bought a shirt seller. We need to build a team, and flexing our muscles and showing that we can buy Declan Rice or Harry Kane is not the way forward. I don't mind if we buy Declan Rice if we're going to buy another 3 or 4 players, but if that budget is limited, I don't want to spend £80 million on any player. I don't really want to go above 50 because I want to get 3 or 4 players instead of 1 or 2. Is there an opportunity to look at Ndidi? He must be getting tired of Leicester failing or falling away. He needs to be in Europe, says Aram. Somebody might look at Ndidi, but I think the fact that Leicester would want so much money for him and he's locked into a long-term contract, again, I'd be a contradiction to say, yeah, let's go and get Ndidi, because I think Leicester would want 60, 70 million. And again, I would say Tchouaméni's got the higher ceiling at a cheaper price. We always go for the obvious signing and look what it's got on us. If there's a choice to be made, we should go with Tchouaméni, says Bradley. And the last consistency good English player was Rooney. I wouldn't go for Rice, says Karan. Tonali or Bastoni would be great, says Druv. It's interesting, isn't it? I just feel like United, there's a lot of coincidence. You could call it that. Or there's a lot of similarities in a lot of things we're going to do. Poch, Ten Hag. Premier League proven, exciting and new. Declan Rice, Premier League proven, Tchouaméni, exciting and new. These options, striker, are you going to go for Richarlison or Calvert-Lewin, or are you going to go for a Núñez or an Isaac or someone like that? And it seems to me that most people want us to go for the exciting new option that's cheaper and is actually a proper rebuild. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Gravenberch's going to Bayern Munich, so I wouldn't think about him. Tielemans is a box-to-box player. He's not a CDM. What I don't want us to do is start getting excited about trying to get a Kessie who's gone to Barcelona anyway, or trying to get a Tielemans. We need a specialist CDM. That's what we need. Fabian Ruiz is a very good shout, Frenzy. He does actually feature quite consistently in relation to... in fact, I wrote that down earlier. Passes per 90. The top 5 over... I think this is right. In the top 5 leagues, the top 5 CDMs, or people who can play that role, passes per 90, Kroos, Rodri, Ruiz, Kimmich, Brozovic. And in the top 5 for forward passes per 90, Kimmich, Lopez, Brozovic, Ruiz. And so look, Luis is an interesting one. Ruiz is an interesting one that you could look at as well. Man United need 2 CDMs. Would you take Partey? Well, we're not going to get Partey, are we? Just interesting, a little bit of news, just to be a little bit topical. I was reading today that Martial's not happy in Sevilla. There you go. Where's Alvarez stats? What's Alvarez stats, Goldbridge? Well, I'm not going to look at Alvarez because he plays in the Dutch league, but he doesn't feature. He's not in the top 10 of anything that I've looked at. There you go. Neither's Polina, but doesn't mean that they're bad players. But I think for me, the obvious one is Tchouaméni. Tchouaméni is the perfect CDM for Manchester United. If Declan Rice was 50 million, let's talk. But at the price tag of Rice, I think it's got to be Tchouaméni for me. Anyway, just a quick 2 o'clock video. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. We're back at 8 o'clock for a longer one and a longer chat. So that's what she said. But I am live at 3 with TUSFC. Goldbridge TV on Twitch. Links in the video description. Mark, I was hoping you could watch a video I sent to That's Football. The note is titled Avran's State of Mind as a Movement for United Stanton, says Andrew. I'll take a look at it. Don't worry about that. I'll see you at 3 o'clock on TUSFC. Thanks everyone for watching. Back at 8 o'clock on here. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. Let's just give you the votes. The vote is this. 22% for Rice, 66% for Tchouaméni, and 12% for Brozovic. So the chat has spoken as well. The perfect CDM for Manchester United is Tchouaméni. Thanks very much for watching. I'll speak to you all in a bit.